Yo, what is up, Ghost here? Today I bring you guys another comparison video between the Owen gun and MP-40. Now, I wanted to make this comparison because obviously a few days ago Season 2 just dropped, and with Season 2 they had a bunch of weapon changes that included both of these guns, and both of them, obviously receiving changes means that this requires a comparison. Because I've made this comparison in the past, but now that both of these guns are different from when I made this comparison, we had to explore the topic. And on top of that, I wanted to explore the topic to see if the MP-40 is still the best SMG in the game, because the Owen gun was on the come up in Season 1 and people were giving a little bit more attention, people were giving a little bit more respect. But now that changes happened to both of the weapons, this might be the opportunity that the Owen gun needed to be the #1 SMG. But before we get into the comparison, I want to say if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. We're on the road to 2,000. We're about less than 100 subs away, so every sub does greatly help. And also, if you guys could do me a favor following me over at my Twitch channel at @alwaysgoes_. I tend to stream there frequently, when I don't have work. But yeah, man, with that being said, let's get into the comparison. And here we have the recoil pattern for the Owen gun. As you guys can see, it's not too crazy. And actually, matter of fact, now in this Season 2 update, the MP-40 actually received a range nerf, and so I think the Owen gun with specific class setups could be better, or is better, than the MP-40 at the moment at long range fights. I feel very confident in saying that, given how I've already used the MP-40 and it's definitely felt toned down that range. But we'll save that for the MP-40 section. But anyways, man, I want to quickly talk over my class setup, because some things were brought to my attention last time I made like Owen gun content, or I guess I posted a clip on TikTok with the Owen gun, and a lot of people were saying that like the time to kill and just like fire rate seemed hella slow. And I took that into consideration when I was using the Owen gun this time around, because since people were hopping on the Owen gun wave, people had their own class setups for the Owen gun. And I did try using this gun with like the recoil booster, a barrel that increases fire rate, or not increases fire rate. It gives me more damage and like no damage drop. It was the first barrel, and then I tried using, what else was it? No, I think that was it. And I didn't like the gun, man. It didn't feel good to me. And so I went back to my old class setup, which as you guys saw in the beginning of this whole portion. Feel free to skip back if you want to see my class setup. And yeah, I'll admit that class setup does definitely feel a little bit more slower on the like time to kill side, but I don't know, man. It's really reliable in my opinion. I think even though it feels slow, it's really reliable, and the range on that is way better than most of the class setups that I've used for the Owen gun. But obviously it's all for you to decide. And considering that this gun did receive some attachment nerfs / buffs / adjustments, like there's so many things that they did to these attachments, and I really can't go into the specifics because I get confused even talking about it. But from the attachments that I saw that got touched in this update for the Owen gun specifically, was the barrel, the 306 barrel, something like that, MX silencer, the removed stock, and the folding stock, I believe. And you guys can use that information however you want. I still use the removed stock because apparently they increased recoil on it a little bit. I don't really feel it. It doesn't feel that bad. And as for the other attachments, it doesn't really matter. I use the MX silencer, but again, I don't really feel any crazy difference. Oh, some of you guys may feel differences, so if you guys feel differences while using these attachments, now you know why. But again, a lot of people have their own ways of building the Owen gun. I personally, like I said, like to build it my way. People build it another way for like fire rate, and that's cool because I have used the fire rate Owen gun and I have seen the potential as to why it kills fast. But like, I don't know, me having range for my SMG is kind of like something that I want, and I think my class setup gives me the best of both worlds, even though it may seem a little bit slow. But feel free to try it out. If you don't like it, there's a lot more class setups out there, so you probably find one, or you can build one yourself, obviously. And yeah, man. But with that being said, let's get into the MP-40. And here we have the recoil pattern for the MP-40, and it actually looks pretty similar to the Owen gun. They both share very similar recoil patterns, and they're pretty easy to control. Now, I'm not gonna lie, when I mentioned that I didn't really feel any changes to the attachments earlier for the Owen gun, I actually lied, because I now just realized that the Owen gun has like this weird little kick. Now, it's not too crazy, but like visually there's like this kick now, and considering what they did to the remove stock, I think it's safe to say that remove stock made it have that little kick. It's not too noticeable, like it's not too crazy, but it's definitely there, and kind of impacts a little bit like at range. But overall, I still think that the Owen gun actually now has the advantage at long range, because for the nerf specifically that they did to the MP-40 in this update was maximum damage range decreased to 422 down from 473, and then mid damage range decreased to 600 down from 612. And those are, I don't know like the specifics on any of that. I don't know how like impactful that is, but specifically for the damage range going from 473 to 422, that seems like a pretty big difference. Again, I don't really know the specifics on any of that. I'm sure someone out there like J God or True Dad or somebody will go more in depth on that. I can't do that. But at range, I have used this gun and it definitely feels way toned down to than what it used to be. But it is what it is. This gun was really dominant at range, and I'm actually happy that they did this nerf, because it was one of the nerfs that I was actually calling for. And now to see it happen, very happy. But that's not the only thing that they ended up touching on this gun. They ended up nerfing some attachments. They ended up nerfing / buffing the first barrel, which everyone uses for the MP-40. And when I say buff, that means the bullet velocity. They added bullet velocity to essentially every barrel in the game, for every Vanguard weapon. And then for the 45 round mag that everyone uses, they ended up nerfing that too. And then they ended up nerfing, what was it? The incendiary. Oh, I would say incendiary rounds, because everyone, especially like including myself, used the incendiary rounds when it was meta. Now, I'm not entirely sure if it's that good. A lot of people have switched to lengthen, which gives you more bullet velocity, because that's like the one that literally has all pros, no cons. And I don't know, I would definitely recommend using lengthen. Some people might use hollow point, but I'm not sure if you need hollow point. You might though. Maybe you might, because you can sacrifice some headshot damage for some more body damage, which because the MP-40 does have a high headshot damage. And I'm never gonna get into some stats. Now, I'm not gonna lie, these stats aren't updated to the whole update, but hopefully you guys can get a rough understanding on how good these guns were before the update, and hopefully when you hear these stats, they can give you a better idea on what you want to use now that guns have been, adjusted. So for starters, we have the fire rate. So for the MP-40, we have a 600 RPM, and then for the Owen gun, we have a 500 RPM. Now, again, bro, you can always increase the fire rate on your weapons, and now that the MP-40 actually received a fire rate nerf to the mag that gives it fire rate, I think the Owen gun has a little better chance of catching up, because again, you can use a barrel, you can use a recoil booster, and the Owen gun, boom, can catch up with the MP-40. And granted, MP-40 I do use quite a bit of fire rate attachment, so it'll probably still be a game of catch up. It'll still probably be around a 100 RPM advantage for the MP-40 no matter what you do, but you can always make the Owen gun faster, because 500 RPM is pretty slow for SMG, but when you hear the damage, bro, that's why it has such a low fire rate. But anyway, starting off with damages for the MP-40 0 to 13 meters, we have 58 damage to the head, 41 to the neck, 35 to the chest, 33 to the stomach, 30 to the upper leg and arm, 26 to the lower leg and arm. Pretty crazy damages. And close range, this didn't get touched. From what I know, they didn't really nerf damages for close range. They more so nerfed it for the longer ranges. For the Owen gun 0 to 17 meters, we have 63 damage to the head, 46 to the neck and chest, 42 to the stomach, and then 39 to the extremities. So as you guys see, bro, even at close range, the Owen gun is way better than the MP-40 damage-wise. However, the fire rate, the time to kill, that isn't the favorite of the MP-40. But damage sometimes becomes undeniable. So, And then for the longer ranges, 13-16 meters for the MP-40, 46 damage to the head, 33 to the neck, 28 to the chest, 26 to the stomach, 24 to the upper leg and arm, 21 to the lower leg and arm, and then 60 meters and above for the MP-40, 40 damage to the head, 28 to the neck, 24 to the chest, 23 to the stomach, 21 to the upper leg and arm, and then 18 to the lower leg and arm. And again, this is where the nerf takes place, because they nerf medium and longer range or damage range. And so these damage stats aren't necessarily like accurate, and they're going to be a little bit more lower when they finally update them on the website. So keep that in mind. And then for the Owen gun for 17 to 22 meters, we have 51 damage to the head, 38 to the neck and chest, 34 to the stomach, 32 to the extremities, and then 22 meters and above, we have 35 damage to the head, 26 to the neck and chest, 23 to the stomach, and then 21 to the extremities. So the Owen gun, for the most part, I would say, or medium range specifically, is more powerful than the MP-40, and the MP-40 just got nerfed at medium range. At longer range, it's a little bit more or less weaker than the MP-40, but MP-40 just took a hit at that range. As you guys can see, bro, that just shows the dominance of the MP-40, like how powerful it was at the longer range. And so now that they actually nerfed that specific aspect on the gun. It's a little bit more down to earth. It's still pretty good at close range, but I mean, guns like the Owen gun can't compete with this gun at close range. It's not like some gun that is completely dominant. I felt like when it had the aspect of it being limitless in its range, I think that's what made it really, really broken. And now, or just overpowered, not broken, but just overpowered. But now that got nerfed, that aspect got taken away, I think it's a little bit more, it allows for more diversity in the SMG category. And me personally, bro, I'm probably going to keep rocking the Owen gun. I feel like I'm tired of using the MP-40 for a whole season, so I'm probably going to be rocking the Owen gun. And I personally would pick the Owen gun, considering that there was more good done to this weapon than more bad, whereas the MP-40 was the gun that was mainly focused on in terms of nerfs. But anyways, man, let me know what you guys think about this update and which gun you're going to be rocking with all these changes. And I'm out.